Justin Trudeau, he's ragging the puck. He's deking, dodging, and delaying right now with the hope that the public interest in the Chinese Communist Party interference in Canadian elections goes away. And it's been interesting to watch. I mean, it was more broken from a Global Reporter this morning. Another CSIS leak, 2 more documents. It's a form of Chinese water torture. These leaks just keep coming and hitting Trudeau day after day after day after day. So that's fine. We can't let Trudeau get away with burying this. I mean, Trudeau and other defenders of his government keep pointing to a report saying the CCP interference didn't impact the outcome of the election, thus we must just let it go. Now, while the impact of the meddling might not have changed which party formed government, it's impacted individual races, and it's certainly impacted Canadian trust in the entire system. We can't let him get away with this and let it go. I mean, Trudeau mentioned that there's 1.7 million Chinese Canadians, people of Chinese descent in Canada. But then he devolved into implying any further questions on the CCP meddling could bring a racist backlash against those Canadians, and that's a load of hogwash. In fact, that number of Canadians of Chinese descent in Canada is significant, and it's large, and they're good citizens. And they're the top victims of the CCP meddling in Canada. Most of those who immigrated to Canada from China did so to escape the authoritarian communist government of their former homeland. And these Canadians shouldn't have to live in fear that the CCP can still impact their lives within this new homeland. And they have reasons to be fearful. The integration of the CCP in the Canadian society, and it goes well beyond our elected officials. They've infiltrated the business community, cultural communities, and now they're, of course, meddling with our elections. They're practicing a campaign of intimidation upon Canadians of Chinese descent. Recent reports exposed the presence of as many as 5 Chinese police stations within Canada. These stations are used to intimidate and influence Chinese Canadians and Falun Gong adherents on Canadian soil. This is serious stuff. Imagine being a Canadian of Chinese descent who still has family back in China. You don't want to bring adverse attention to your loved ones back there, of course, and you want to ensure you can keep visiting them. So imagine these Chinese Canadians, these Canadians having issues with their immigration status, or a travel visa renewal, or a passport renewal. Normally, a person would go to their local member of parliament's office for help with these kinds of issues. But with CSIS reporting as many as 11 MPs that we know of may be compromised by the CCP, how comfortable would these Chinese Canadians feel in entrusting their information to the offices of their MPs? And what about the innocent MPs? I mean, there's several MPs of Chinese descent that have nothing to do with the Chinese Communist Party. But whether it's fair or not, some people might be questioning their loyalties. These MPs need the air cleared so they don't have to endure further mistrust. I know many people don't have faith in what can be accomplished with a public inquiry. We've seen enough government efforts to whitewash issues and stack inquiries, as it is to make people cynical. But it's still the best tool we've got right now to shed light on this controversy. And the opposition parties need to step up. They can't just keep asking for one. They have to force the issue in Parliament. Trudeau's in a minority government position. He can't stop an inquiry if the other parties get together and invoke it. I mean, sure, Trudeau could declare the vote of confidence issue. Good for him. Force an election, really? I mean, even somebody as arrogant and tone-deaf as Trudeau has to understand that dragging Canadians to a sudden election just to avoid a public inquiry into himself would be political suicide. And maybe the rot doesn't run too deeply. Maybe we've already seen the extent of the CCP interference and an inquiry wouldn't identify any more issues. I mean, that'd be a great outcome. We could then return to focusing on policy issues and quit dedicating so much time to the interference scandal. Trust in Canada's democratic system has been breached, and this distrust can't be left to fester. It undercuts the stability of the entire nation. Trudeau's games and ridiculous suggestions of appointing a special rapporteur must be dismissed. Who's it going to be? Margaret Trudeau? One of his brothers or something? Come on, Justin. Nobody's going to take the conclusions of an appointee of the Prime Minister seriously. It's bad enough already that a former head of the Trudeau Foundation was tasked with watching over the integrity of the elections. Trudeau won't participate. That's a given. The ball is in the court of the opposition party now. They need to do their jobs and force a full, public, independent inquiry headed by somebody approved by all the parties. And if the opposition parties won't do this, well, then Canada is truly broken.
Canadian Shooting Sports Association. Without the CSSA, our gun rights would have been taken long ago. These guys are on the front lines helping to draft smart and intelligent firearms regulations and legislation in Canada, and more importantly, educating the public about how we keep guns out of the hands of the wrong people. To become a member, it's absolutely worth every penny. You can become a Western Standard member for just $10 a month or $99 a year for unlimited access.